Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Update Show. I'm your co-host, Trae Holiday, and you guys know we have a great lineup for you on this beautiful Friday. I do hope that some of you out there can enjoy this weather. I know some may have to stay in, but let's enjoy these last few days of great sunshine that we have in our beautiful Emerald City. And shout out to all of you who are looking and joining us from across the pond, over the hill, down the way, and from the bend. We so appreciate all the support. You guys know our guy Big O has been away this week, making sure his son was settled in Chicago, but he keeps working really hard to make sure we get some great headlines. So I gotta digitally throw it over to my guy Big O.
Good morning, and thank God it's Friday. Like, for real, this has been the longest week ever. Coming to you this morning from Houston, Texas. We got a great show lined up for you today. Not only do I have headlines, but I got even more headlines with Mike Davis from the South Seattle Emerald. Dre Franklin from Build is in the building, so we're going to learn more about what's happening in the community. It's Food Friday, so I know we got some good food going on, and we also got some melanin magic for you. Let me get right into the headlines. From the Seattle Times, unemployment claims stay at historic levels as thousands of workers still await benefits. So basically, right here, in the state of Washington, at least, man, workers are still losing jobs in historically high numbers. More than 6 months after COVID-19 first struck the state, according to the Unemployment Law Project, they're getting hundreds and hundreds of calls every week. And they've actually sent a letter to Governor Jay Inslee on behalf of tens of thousands of Washingtonians who are trying to appeal denied claims. So unemployment's kind of been an issue from since the state was shut down. There was the system was down, the phone lines were down, the computer was down. Then after that, the waits were over there. Then after that, the delays. Looks like it's still lots of delays over there at employment security. And there's a lot of people still being denied. You can read more about this at the Seattle Times. From the South Seattle Emerald, Ready When You Are campaign unveils automated plexiglass partitions and mass dispensers on King County Metro Transit. So King County Metro, they announced this Ready When You Are campaign. It features innovations for transit, including automated plexiglass partitions and mass dispensers to keep the operators and the riders safe during COVID. I can tell you, man, as somebody who used to hop the transit a lot during COVID, man, the buses, it was wild, to be honest with you, for a while. So looks like what they've done here now is they've created a safe space for the drivers with plexiglass partitions and also masks that will be dispensed on the buses. So this is the buses, and it's going to move across the different transit platforms. You can read more about this at the South Seattle Emerald. All right, this is from shopblack.us. Two black-led banks just merged to form a $1 billion lender. That's City First Bank in Washington, D.C., and Broadway Financial Corporation in Los Angeles have announced that they have entered into a transformational merger of equals agreement to create the largest Black-led bank in the nation, with more than $1 billion in combined assets under management and approximately $850 million in total depository institution assets. Combining these two institutions will increase their collective commercial lending capacity for investments in multifamily affordable housing, small business, nonprofit development, and so on. You can read more about this at shopblack.us. From CapitolHillSeattle.com, Central District Stay Healthy Streets gets Hopscotch CD edition. So basically what's happening here is in the Central District, maybe like a lot of other neighborhoods across Seattle, there's already streets that are basically closed to through traffic. It's called the Seattle Stay Healthy Streets. The idea of the streets being closed is to give more space for people to walk and get outdoors around COVID. Anyways, what's happening there this weekend is between 12th and 34th along Columbia, there's a bunch of hopscotch squares. And so people can literally hopscotch their way through the Central District this weekend. This is part of an initiative from the Central Area Neighborhood District Council, and you can read more about it at capitolhillseattle.com. From the Puget Sound Business Journal, Africa Town moves forward on the William Gross Center for Cultural Innovation. You've heard us talk about this before. This is Fire Station 6, or the old Fire Station 6 on 23rd and Yesler. It's slated to be transferred to Africa Town, and they're going to create the Africa Town Center for Cultural Innovation, basically a business development, technology, and incubation hub right there in the Central District. You can read more about this on the Puget Sound Business Journal. So yesterday, in the federal court, a lawsuit was filed by Pacific Legal Foundation on behalf of landlords. They're trying to basically say that the city of Seattle and the state of Washington are breaking the law with the eviction moratorium, and they're seeking immediate relief, or basically the lifting of this eviction moratorium, so they can evict people off their property and they can get new tenants in who can pay the rent. I talked to Kevin Schofield actually at length last night for about 30 minutes on this. You can find the whole segment on the ConvergeMedia YouTube page or either our Facebook page. But here's a short clip right here when we talked about what's facing the judge and what decisions the judge would have to make regarding this case.
Well, so they filed it today. How does the process, especially right now, how fast or slow is this process of moving through the courts?
Yeah, so this is a case where basically none of the facts are going to be in dispute. So they don't need to have a trial. This one is going to get resolved on motions for summary judgment, where the judge basically, looks at the facts, and both sides are going to basically agree on the facts. They're going to have completely different arguments about interpreting the law in this space, and the judge will interpret the law, make a ruling, and that will kind of get appealed up the line from there. And depending that. My guess is, given that this is a fairly urgent thing for landlords to, in terms of kind of their income right now, they haven't yet filed a motion for a preliminary injunction, but my guess is they will probably in the next few days, and then that will get resolved probably in the next month or so, right? And then after that, they'll kind of do longer briefs and have a more in-depth legal argument about what this really means.
Well, the judge has also balanced what's going to be the outcome. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we rule in favor of the plaintiffs, okay, they've met the burden, but the judge is also looking at, well, man, thousands of people now very well might, get a pay up or quit, and you're looking at massive evictions in the numbers of hundreds or thousands of people.
Right, and so. And so let me just talk for a second about the other parts of this test, right? One part is, are they likely to succeed on the merits of the case? But then they look at the balance, what they call the balance of hardships, right? How much of a hardship is it on the plaintiffs if they don't get an injunction? And how much of a hardship is it on, the government or the public if they do get an injunction on this, right? So that's a part of it. And then, another part is what they call, what's in the public interest? Is it in the public interest right now to grant an injunction and basically, create, allow evictions to go forward? And I think that is going to be a difficult call for a judge to say, for the moment, we're going to allow evictions to go forward. I think there would be kind of just a huge tidal wave of evictions immediately if that happened.
Here's a segment from King 5. They profiled a crisis call center in Everett, Washington, just north of Seattle, saying that their call volume increased 65% in July over the year before. A lot of that having to do with COVID.
We are a mental health crisis line.
This Volunteers of America Crisis Center in Everett takes calls from across the country. In July alone, counselors saw a 65% increase from the year before.
Well, you just want to get him some help, and it sounds like he needs it too.
A team of 20 working around the clock to connect people with the help they need, much of it now stemming from the fallout of COVID-19. Assistant Behavioral Health Director Levi Van Dyke expects things to get even worse as coronavirus continues and winter looms on the horizon.
COVID is enhancing a lot of the crisis that's out there, and it's making things worse. All indications are that we are going to experience higher call volumes and higher volumes of crisis throughout the fall.
As isolation and desperation grow, Dom believes it'll be more important than ever for all of us to pay close attention to our friends, family, and neighbors to keep the darkness away.
Try a little kindness, so to speak, right? And just talk.
I think they said it right there in that segment by King 5. And we all got to take care of each other, look out for each other. It's a lot going on. A lot of people are very depressed. We got to look out for the mental health of ourselves, of course, but also our loved ones, people we work with, and everything else. Man, it's really impacting us. It's impacting our society. COVID, social justice, unemployment, some of everything else. So we need to bring a little bit of a civility and humanity back into play here. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, like I said, it's Friday. Thank God it's Friday. Got a great rest of your show coming up. Back in the studio on Monday. Looking forward to being there. And all the way from Houston, Texas, I'm handing it back to you, Trae Holiday.
Big O, always making sure we are well informed over here in the Emerald City, all the way from where you're coming from. We appreciate it so much, man. And honestly, you guys, you see right there that clearly there's still a lot of work being done here in the city. A lot of adjustments obviously still happening for COVID. And we've been saying this for a long time right here on this platform, that there is going to be a lot of work to repair the financial damage that our cities and our counties and our communities are really seeing. And so, love out there to all the landlords, love to all those who are needing, don't have the money to pay rent. It is a system across the board that really is demanding a full-on freeze. Ultimately, we were hoping that would come from the federal level, but it's great that we're able to give you guys the balanced story. We will continue to give you balanced stories. And I'm excited because we have a great person from the community, as Omari said earlier in his clip, that Trae from Build 206 will be on our set. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
We're right here at East Precinct. It doesn't get any closer than this right now.
ConvergeMedia produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. As a small independent media company, we rely on the financial support of individuals and business members to stay on the front lines of the news that's important to you.
Welcome back, y'all, to the Morning Update Show. I'm your co-host, Trae Holiday, and I'm so excited to have a brother from the community right here on our set, man. Trae Franklin with Build 206. You have been doing some amazing work out here in the community, man, and you're part of many, many groups. I say build, but you got street team. He done brought me the shirt, y'all, so I'm ready. But Trae, thank you so much for coming on, man, and let the folks know how you're making change right here in our community.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me. Thank you for the work that you guys are doing in the community. This is very important. Black led, Black owned. That's what it's all about. So some of the work that we're doing in the community around Build. Build stands for Brothers Uniting Leadership Development, and it's really around issues that focus on Black men and boys, really building relationships, trust, accountability, mentorship, job skills. There's a lot of stuff a lot of information that we do with that. And with that, as well as we do like Father's Day events, Mother's Day events. We do a lot of events where we bring people together to kind of offset the impacts of gentrification. So one of our highlight events that we've done in the past was like Build the Hood basketball events, partnering with cats from the community. We've done the football Little League, 90s football Little League reunion. We know football's a big deal to date, but back when we was kids, it was huge. So we brought, all the folks together for that. And that was like black men that were like 35 and older and their families. We've started a number of businesses. So we started knockerball business, recreation businesses. We do a lot of events. So we ended up getting a box truck, and we got tables, tents, chairs, different stuff for activities. So that's ways for us to generate revenues, but also when we're working with young men and young women, we're able to give them hard and soft life and job skills and generate revenue where we're not always having to go after grants and funds and playing that game. So that's some of what I'm doing with what we're doing with Build. And then BRIC is our nonprofit. That stands for Build Resilient Inspired Communities of Color. And that's the nonprofit arm that we started in late 2018. With that, we're able to access more of the resources that are out here to do programs and events, but we're really strategic about the types of funds that we go after. We're definitely not chasing money. We're going after money that makes sense for us to be able to bring community together, build relationships, and spend time with one another, because that's the real transformational work. We're not really with the transactional work, so we're really about trying to transform and share the resources and relationships that we have within our community. And then in my day job, I work for Seattle Parks and Recreation, and that's the shirt you guys see on. We got the street team going on where we're out there and engaging with people. We're outreaching, engaging, and connecting them to services and resources. But right now, there's a lot of, we're coming up on, there's a lot of resources that are in the community, but a lot of people took COVID, they're not operating. So we're finding that when we're trying to refer young people or trying to connect and build partnerships, there's just not a lot going on right now because of what's going on with COVID. So we got a dynamic team out there that's out there in the streets. They're out there activating locations, having activities, having snacks, having that caring adult. That stuff really makes a difference right now. And then partnering with other organizations to make those referrals, to make sure that these young folks and their families have the resources that they need, as well as with Seattle Parks. We've had emergency shelters in our community centers. We have showers for homeless folks and other folks that need to have hygiene stations to come take showers. We're doing childcare across the city. We're actually about to activate some teen and like middle school and high school support hubs. So with remote learning, we're able to try to bridge that gap and try to provide services. And as well, I think we activated 4 beaches because we know if we don't activate the beaches, people are going to be out there swimming and folks are going to be drowning and stuff. So we were able to kind of identify where the biggest needs were and activate 4 beaches. And we're doing a lot of other things. I'm sure I'm not capturing everything with Parks and Rec, but that's a lot of the work that's been going on behind the scenes with what's going on in Seattle Parks and Recreation, trying to create opportunities and safe places and trying to support community, shifting our services to support community where they're at and what they need.
Listening to your intro, I'm over here because I'm like, yes, and yes, and yes, brother. Like, I love that because so many in our community just got the octopus arms, man. We are where we need to be. And honestly, we know that there's been so much divestment that we have to do so much investment in the next generation so they understand the resources. So I love that. I love that you're all over the place and doing so many things, man. Thank you for your work out here, man. That's what it takes. I think in community, we see that a lot, and I'm happy that I know you. So that's great stuff. We have actually a clip because you were actually on the AC podcast with White King early in this year. So we're going to show the folks a little bit about that interview as well.
Cool. Like sometimes we say we care about our bros and our sisters, in the hood, but sometimes we're doing things that are counterintuitive to care and love. So if we really care, we want to push each other to be to our greatness. We're not judging nobody for whatever activities that they're involved in. Like, I get it. A lot of our members come from that. I was involved in that growing up, but at the same time, like even me reflecting back, really trying to always push people to be better. So sometimes we think that we're doing things that are in the best benefit because we only have so many options that we've been shown. So really getting outside of the comfort zone and pushing people. So sometimes we're doing things, but really we think that we're helping people. We may be putting them on or whatever, but really we're having them play on the freeway. Right. They're playing in traffic. And, if we say, hey, would you have your little brother play on the freeway, little sister play on the freeway? No, I wouldn't do that because they're going to get hit by a car. But sometimes our behavior and our activities is like playing in traffic. But that's what we've been shown. That's what we've been force fed. So understanding that and pushing each other to do better, in school, to be an entrepreneur, to take some of the skills and transfer them into real life action. You know what I'm saying? Right. We have all the tools and resources that we need in our community. Tapping into our community, get involved, find a mentor, be a mentor. Like some of these guys already have, people that are active, you already have natural leadership abilities. This is how do you transfer that, and what are you leading people on? Are you leading people to play in traffic, or are you leading people to be better? Is the plan to stay in, or is the plan to get out? So how do you leverage the resources that you have within you and empower yourself and know that you are great?
Man, Trae, doing it all out here. You had me cracking up. You said that was BC, huh?
Yeah, that was BC. That was BC, Dre.
Before Corona.
Before Corona. That was when I had the fresh haircut. Now this is no haircut, Dre.
This is where we're at right
AC,
now.
This is AC.
Oh man, well, one of the ways that I've been able to experience a lot of your work is what you were talking about in terms of the rentals, the equipment rentals. We've been having these First Amendment events, and every single time I could get emotional about it, because every single time you stepped up to the plate, like, what's up, fam? What do we need? And I'm so appreciative of that. And I think that really what we're showcasing in some of the coalition movements, some of these movements that are just happening, is that there's real relationships that are built underneath all of these organizations, these businesses. Growing up in the community, you feel that love.
Yes. So that's really, and just paying homage, like I don't do nothing I do by myself. It's all about community. We have a team. So I just want to shout out the team, the leadership team with Build. We have Isaiah Anderson Jr., Proof from the Play, which you guys know, Proof from the Play. Willard Jemerson is on the team. Kendra Glover, Ramon Franklin, Cedric Alderman, and Jerice Vanga. So that's really our leadership team. And then we have a bunch of elders that we engage with, and the next generation. So Ed from the Black Elephant Party, like really tapping into him. He's like the generation now. There's a bunch of other people. Rail Be Free, you guys had him on here before. So it's really intergenerational, and that's really the work. We got to really, so we can't do nothing by ourselves. And like I said, it's really like acquiring resources. So when it's time to go, we can go. And if we can offer the stuff for free, then we can offer it free. If it's an opportunity to generate some revenue, it's an opportunity to generate revenue. But at the end of the day, we have those assets and resources so we can deploy them and make things happen. We don't got to rely on other folks.
And I love the model. It takes me back to my urban studies days when I'm learning about micro enterprise, right? If you think about a lot of the ways that communities are invested in globally in some of the, they would call them third countries, but third party countries, but really it's like these developing countries that were like, look, we need to start small. Let's start with what we have. And so I was able to do some of that work when I was in Kenya, and really so inspired by these women and men who had just created businesses that made sense. And one of them that I was so connected to was this chair rental. And it was just like what you're saying. It was like, hey, we have gatherings, we need chairs, simple as that.
Right.
Like, why do we always have to go and pay somebody else for these chairs when we can just have the chairs, and then they're in our community, and then when you need an event, to come to us for chairs. And it's just that simple. And I think sometimes if we can take some of those ideals and characteristics into our Americanized opportunities, I think we can soar. And you're showing that with Build, and honestly also connecting it with a younger generation and bringing them into it so they understand how to do these major setups. We were talking just on yesterday's episode with Jake Grobbrot, one of our producers, about the music industry and event venues and how COVID has struck all of that work away. But one of the things that you're able to do is stay connected to community organizations who still need these setups, right? And throughout the summer, we've been seeing that. We've been seeing your stuff all over the place. And that's another testament to understanding what is really needed in community and providing that.
Yeah, and part of that is also, I'm going to quote one of my OGs, one of my elders, Rico Bember. He said, "This work is social science, not rocket science," right? Like sometimes we make things harder than it has to be, and really, giving these young adults and adults, like we don't really draw the line either. Like, oh, you're 18 or 19 or 25 and you're right off, because we feel like people need the resources that they need to be successful whenever they're ready to make that change. And having those businesses and having those opportunities, one, we have the resources to do activities and events and we kind of put our stuff with COVID, we switched to more digital, more remote, virtual type stuff. So we've been working with like DJ Uncle Guy to do, and D-Docs and Love Jones and other folks to do like more virtual stuff. Some of our guys, we did like a lip sync battle. So Isaiah and Proof in the Play and KG, Kendrick, they did like a lip sync battle. So we're trying to do more virtual stuff to try to be responsible with what's going on with COVID, but also we're able to activate to support the movement because we're living in multiple pandemics, right? You know, we're dealing with multiple pandemics, but as we're able to provide those services, we're also able to provide hard and soft life skills with the young people so they can learn how to invoice. They're learning how to read the invoice. They're learning how to secure the equipment. They're learning how to communicate with the customer. They're learning how to, you know, work the lift gate on the box truck, all that stuff, you know what I'm saying? So that's really what it is. Like, you know, really, like I said, going back to what Rico said, and there's many elders in the city that's been doing this work. It's not rocket science, it's social science. And the other thing that we've been supporting, unfortunately, there's been an uptick in gun violence and young people, you know, dying and in numerous ways. And gun violence is a lagging indicator of what's really going on. These kids are dying emotionally, spiritually, physically, way before they get to having gun violence, right? Mm-hmm. So I think sometimes people want to focus on the symptom instead of really what the problem is, which is way upstream, right? These kids have low self-esteem. They don't, you know, they don't know who they are. They don't know their history. They don't have a support network, so on and so forth, right? There's a lot of failures that happen for them to get to the point where they're getting into gun violence. So that's another thing that we've been able to support is grieving families with that equipment where they're doing repasses and stuff in the park. We've been able to pop up and support them with those resources. That's an unfortunate thing, but it's also nice for them not to have to stress out and worry about and getting taxed out on trying to celebrate their children's lives. So it's an opportunity for us to, you know, to still support community in a number of ways. So yeah.
I love that model so much. And, you know, even right here at Converge, we have some producers. Shout out to Carlos Imani. Same kind of concept where it's like, we understand a skill set now. We understand production, media, content creation. How can we take our skill set and infuse it with the next generation? So I'm loving your work, and I'm sending my 14-year-old son your way, okay? Just know that. So before you get off the set, how can people find you? How can they donate? Please let the people know how to support your work.
So I think the biggest thing with for Build, you can check out our website, and all of our social media is linked to there. It's build206.com. You can email us build206@gmail.com. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We got Snapchat, but we're really not all hip up on that yet. And then through the Parks Department, you can email me at andre.franklin@seattle.gov or contact us and get tapped in. We got a teen website, teens. You can Google like City of Seattle teen programs, and all that information will be on there. So definitely we want to make sure that you guys are able to tap in, support. If anybody has any resources that they know are active that we can connect young folks to, definitely reach out and we can share that information with the team that's out there in the streets. I want to give them a shout out to Isaiah, who's my brother at Bill, but he's also on the street team. We got Jerice, who's my brother at Bill, who's also on the street team. Josie, Stephen Boney, Brenna. So those are my guys. Adam, those are the ones that are out there in the streets. They're activating parks. So I really want to give them a shout out because, like I said, the work that I do isn't me. It's us. It's we. You know, there's no big I, little you.
Right.
You know, it's all. There's no I in team. So we can't. Many hands make light lifting, and that's really what I'm on. So it's really about Bill for real, you know?
Absolutely. And I think you just echoed the sentiment of community because that's what it is. None of us do any of this work alone. And I love that you were able to highlight that, Dre. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Thanks for what you guys are doing.
Absolutely. You guys, we also have some great headlines. You guys know it's Friday, so we have to check in with our guy, Marcus Harrison Green, over at South Seattle Emerald with the headlines.
All right, here with my brother, Mike Davis, South Seattle Emerald. How are you this evening?
I am good. I'm good. How are you?
All right, I'm fantastic. So I'm glad we're catching up. We're catching up on a Thursday night instead of early Friday morning, man. I guess that's the benefit of being on the road. We can, catch up beforehand on this. You got three headlines right here. All of them are actually pretty cool. Let's jump into the first one. I'm somebody who always says that in crisis there's also opportunity. And it looks like with COVID and community college classes being online, there's an opportunity for high school juniors and seniors.
Absolutely. Traditionally, the Running Start program that allows high school juniors and seniors to take community college courses for free while they're in high school there was a really big barrier with students that didn't have access to transportation because you had to physically take those classes at the colleges. So if you didn't have a car, it was really hard, even if you were on the bus, to be able to get from high school to college and then back to high school to finish out your day. But now that all of our community colleges have went online, all of these juniors and seniors can actually just take those college courses digitally and earn college credits and high school credits at the same time.
But I guess that also means too that they're no longer limited to the community college that was in their neighborhood. I mean, technically, you could, because we're all connected, you could, if there's a community college, maybe if you live in Seattle, community college in Tacoma has a class that you like. Are you able to take?
Oh, absolutely.
Class there?
You absolutely are. As a matter of fact, when I was in high school, I did Run and Start, and I took my classes at South Puget Sound Community College in Olympia, and my high school was South Lake High School. But my cousin was playing basketball out there, so I was able to go graduate from high school while being out there. So you can literally go to any college in the state of Washington in this program with it being digital.
Sounds like you're a big supporter of Run and Start.
Huge supporter of Run and Start.
Okay, good stuff. Keeping it on the kids. Mike loves the kids. It sounds like City of Seattle Parks Department have they've kind of put some money where their mouth is, so to speak, and they're setting up daycare services across the city as well as teen hubs. Tell us all about it.
Yes. It's great to see the city doing something right these days. And this is definitely something that they actually got right. So all of the teen life centers around the city, as well as Miller Community Center, Magnuson Community Center, and Bitter Lake Community Center, they're all going to be open during the school year, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. as teen service hubs. They will have staff on site. They'll have tutors on site. They'll have Wi-Fi on site. So once kids get those devices from Seattle Public Schools, there will be places set up where they can come, have Wi-Fi, and help to do their homework. As a bonus, it's not just for the teens. It's targeted at the teens. And a lot of these programs, or a lot of these community centers, are the ones that have the late night programs. But any kid in the city is more than welcome to come in and get some assistance and some free Wi-Fi. So it's a great thing that they're doing.
Right. And there's also childcare for young kids as well, right?
Absolutely. The childcare program is a little more limited than it was traditionally, but they do have 19 sites that will be open, full day childcare. They do have priority for low income students. And again, you're going to have that Wi-Fi access. You're going to have adults on site that can help kids with homework. And they're also going to serve as a hub so kids can still get some actual learning while everything is distanced.
All right. Last thing is, man, we saw big news when the NBA players, they just walked off the job, followed by the WNBA and a lot of other sports leagues. They're playing again, but part of the discussion with the players in the NBA is they said they want to be able to use the arenas for voting locations. Tell us about that.
Yes. This is big. NBA players have, for a long time, been advocates for a lot of social justice issues, and they've been using their voices and using their platforms, and they're calling for justice. But for the most part, a lot of these wealthy owners who have a lot of friends who happen to be politicians, they kind of take the back seat. I think that was amplified when COVID first wiped the seasons out, and a lot of people who worked at stadiums lost their jobs, and it had to be individual players who were stepping up and donating portions of their salaries to support those workers instead of the owners who really have all of the money and the power. In this situation, when we've seen the NBA players refuse to play these games, the owners had every single incentive to get these guys back on the court. And for the first time that I can remember, NBA owners actually did something tangible to support the causes that the players wanted to see supported. And voting is a huge issue right now. We're seeing a whole party on one side doing everything that they can possibly do to suppress votes. So having all of these arenas open up as voting centers is huge.
All right. There it is. Just the headlines with Mike Davis. Tell people how they can catch up with the South Seattle Emerald.
You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, or just Google SouthSeattleEmerald.com, man. We're there.
All right, brother. See you next week.
Thank you.
Shout out to Mike Davis, not Marcus Harrison Green. Every time I see the South Seattle Emerald, I think Marcus. And now I love being able to see more of his staffers interview and give us the headlines and be with Omari. So thank you, Mike Davis, for those headlines. We so appreciate our connection to the South Seattle Emerald. You guys, we will take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
We're right here at East Precinct. It doesn't get any closer than this right now.
ConvergeMedia produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. As a small independent media company, we rely on the financial support of individuals and business members to stay on the front lines of the news that's important to you.
There's a lot going on. Are you ready? Ready to feel better, look better, be better? Drink water. Be ready for a pickup game. Insta-frame to work hard towards your aim? Drink water. Hydrate. Hydrate to invest in yourself. Cut down on sugar. Invest in your health. Imagine the possibilities and reach your potential. Who knows what's next? Be ready. Be hydrated.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Morning Update Show. I'm your co-host, Trae Holiday, and this next segment is near and dear to my heart. I'm so elated to be working with my Converge producers. Shout out to DQ and Carlos Amani holding it down so much for me, and I'm so appreciative because Chats with Trae is something that I dreamed about as a child, and honestly, this episode is probably... you can't get any better than a 3-generational discussion or 3-generational chat with me, my mother, and my grandmother. So we'll show you a clip because Chats with Trae is airing this Friday at 2 p.m. and we'll be having weekly episodes every Friday at 2 p.m. right here on ConvergeMedia. I'm excited to share this with you all. Here it is, Chats with Trae.
Chats with Trae. Chats with Trae. Chats with Trae.
Well, welcome back to Chats with Trae. I'm really excited to, be getting our show going again. I know that we had several folks who've been asking me, what's going on? Where's your show? Where's your show? And during protest season, it's been hard to pull all of our productions back together. But shout out to the Converge team. We are making it happen. So I'm very thankful for my production team right here that's helping me pull this together. And this has been a concept that really has been in the works for me for a very long time. As a young child, I always would speak to my mom and grandma about our history, learning who we are, where we come from, what we do. And so I'm very, very honored to bring my mother and my grandmother onto my stage. Welcome, Tracy Holiday Robinson and Ruth Holiday. Thank you, guys.
You're so very welcome, honey.
Thank you, sweetie.
You're so very welcome.
Well, the thing is that I think, a part of this entire show concept is just to capture the kind of chats folks have anyway, right?
Okay.
And really allow the audience to kind of tune in. And normally we would check in with people in their comments, but I'll be reading them and catching up with folks after the show. But I really wanted to just capture how we chat. And I think there's a lot of movement that's been happening over the last couple of months regarding the protesting, the uprising. And so I really wanted to hear from both of your perspectives. As you guys know, I'm out here organizing a lot of these events and trying to help change the hearts and minds of folks as we move into what we're calling the new normal. And so Grandma, I really want to start with you because, you know, you were born in 1940 and the time was so different to what it is now. And at 80 years old, the perspective that you hold with, you know, folks getting out there seeking, you know, change. I really wanted to hear from you. What does this movement mean to you right now?
Well, it means a lot to me. I think it's way overdue, but not being able to say why, well, I know why, but I won't say it. Because we all know why. When things are wrong, nothing goes right. And when you mistreat one human being, mistreats another human being for whatever reason, it's wrong. And for to dislike a person because of the color of their skin is madness. It's crazy. And how they've treated us.
Oh my gosh, you guys, that episode means the world to me, and I'm so excited to share that with all of you today at 2 p.m. It was a great chat I had with my mother and my grandmother, and we're going to try to find ways to get you guys some of the B-roll we got right after, because the proud moments that my mother experienced as soon as we said cut, I hope that we can get that uploaded for you guys as well. You guys know one of my favorite segments of this entire show is our Melanin Magic. So we have a great clip for you guys in our Melanin Magic segment today. We're going to give it to you now.
I drink my wine after midnight, spend all my time on my own. So why can't I find a reason to unwind alone? Just me at home. I lie in bed with the lights on, dream of the blue in your eyes. So why am I surprised by the radiating white of lies? Chloride. Can you see me cry? Can you hear my morning feel? Do you even care to hear my final prayer? Do you even know that you're a ghost? Do you even know that you're a I try to sleep through the daytime, keeping your shadow close, but all I can see is your moving memory, picture perfect pose. Why can't I let you go? My final prayer. Do you even know that you're a ghost? Do you even know that you're a ghost? Do you even know that you're a ghost?
Oh my goodness. That was Miss Shaina Shepherd. That was from her solo project, but she also is well known with her band bare axe. She was actually singing that in front of the Fremont Abbey in their series The Round. So shout out to Shaina Shepherd, amazing vocalist right here in our Emerald City. And you guys know we love to showcase so much of the amazing talent that's right here. I'll definitely be following up with her as she has an amazing voice, and I'm sure there's multiple ways that we can connect in terms of so much of this brilliance that's happening right here when we talk about Melanin magic. You guys, I'm so elated that we got through this week and in a great way. So as always, I gotta make sure I stand up and do it justice. Even without Omari or anyone else, I gotta make sure we stand up and do the right thing. Thank you guys so much for supporting us, and I hope that you all make it a great Friday. Enjoy your weekend. We'll be back on Monday at 11 a.m. You're watching the Morning Update Show. Peace.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun.